Hi everyone and welcome to the EEG or the English Easy Goldstar channel. In this video is the discussion of relative pronouns. Right up! Before we start, let's just have a quick review of the previous videos regarding pronouns. Okay, so a pronoun is a substitute to a noun, and below pronouns are the types. Okay, so we have discussed about the first four types of pronouns, which are the demonstrative, the possessive pronouns, and reflexive pronouns, and the personal pronouns. Okay, so relative pronouns are the fifth type of pronouns. Okay, so what is a relative pronoun? Okay, so a relative pronoun marks a type of subordinate clause. This subordinate clause is often called relative clause or adjective clause or the defining clause. So that can be used to join two sentences. Okay, so it marks a type of subordinate clause that can be used to join two sentences. Okay, so let's just highlight some points here. Relative pronoun, okay, subordinate clause, okay, and used to join two sentences. Okay, it marks a type of subordinate clause that can be used to join two sentences. Okay, that's the clue. So what are the relative pronouns? They are which, that, whose, whoever, whomever, who, and whom. Okay, these are the most common relative pronouns being used. Okay, what, when, and where can also be used as relative pronouns only in some situations. Okay, but the most commonly used are these ones. Okay, so these relative pronouns, which, that, whose, whoever, whomever, who, whom, what, when, and where, are used to join two sentences. Okay, now let's look at some examples. Okay, let's start with who. Let's read. The player who won the game trained hard. Again, the player who won the game trained hard. So who is here? Okay, it refers to player. Who is the player? Okay, so it modifies player. It refers back to player, which is a noun. All right, okay, so the main sentence is the player trained hard. Okay, and the other one is who won the game. So this is the modifying clause or the adjective clause or the relative clause. Okay, because of who, the relative pronoun who. Okay, so it's like we have two sentences here. All right, let's analyze. Okay, let's first look at the first sentence. The player trained hard. Okay, player is the subject, trained is the verb, and hard is the adverb, but we will talk about that in the next videos. Okay, so let's just talk about the basics first. Okay, and then this clause, who won the game, who can be the subject. All right, won is the verb and the game is the object or the direct object. Okay, so two sentences, right? We said earlier that a relative pronoun marks a subordinate clause that can join or that can be used to join two sentences. Okay, so in here we have two sentences. Okay, the player trained hard, and then who won the game. Who won the game is the clause which is used to modify the player or define the player or refer back to the player. All right, now let's go to the second relative pronoun, which is that. Let's read the sentence. The flowers that I bought are already arranged. Again, the flowers that I bought are already arranged. Okay, so that is here. Okay, and the clause is that I bought. All right, and the main sentence is the flowers are already arranged. Okay, that in here is the relative pronoun, so it refers back to flowers, which is a noun. That defines flowers. Okay, it modifies flowers, so that in here is an adjective. So let's analyze the clause. I here is the subject and bought is the verb. For the main sentence, flowers is the subject and are arranged is the verb. Okay, again, are arranged is the verb. All right, so it's like two sentences that I bought and the flowers are already arranged. Okay, so that is used to join the two sentences. Okay, all right, that I bought and the flowers are already arranged. Okay, now let's go to the next relative pronoun, whoever. Okay, let's read the sentence. The players, whoever the judges select, will join the finals. Again, the players, whoever the judges select, will join the finals. Okay, so whoever is here. Okay, and obviously the clause is whoever the judges select. Okay, it is separated by commas. Okay, and the main sentence is the players will join the finals. All right, so whoever, which is the relative pronoun, okay, defines players or modifies players. Players is a noun. Okay, so let's analyze whoever the judges select. The judges is the subject and select is the verb. Okay, while as in the main sentence, players is the subject and will join is the verb. All right, okay, so whoever in here is used to join the two sentences. All right, the judges select and the players will join the finals. Okay, let's go to the next relative pronoun, which is which. All right, let's read the sentence. Hoodie, which I wear regularly, is one of his favorite casual wears. Again, hoodie, which I wear regularly, is one of his favorite casual wears. Okay, so where is which? It's here. Okay, and the clause is which I wear regularly. Okay, so which is the relative pronoun. It refers back to hoodie, it modifies hoodie, or it defines hoodie. Okay, and the main sentence is hoodie is one of his favorite casual wears. Okay, so let's analyze. The clause here is separated by commas. Okay, so the subject is I and the verb is wear. Okay, so this is a sentence. All right, now let's go to the main sentence. Hoodie is the subject and is the verb. All right, so which in here is used to join two sentences, which are I wear regularly and hoodie is one of his favorite casual wears. All right, so this subordinate clause over here, or this adjective clause, is used to define or modify hoodie. All right, now let's go to the relative pronoun whom. Okay, let's read the sentence. The student whom the teacher called cried. Again, the student whom the teacher called cried. Okay, So whom is here, okay, and then the subordinate clause is whom the teacher called. Whom is the relative pronoun, okay, it refers back to the subject student or the noun student. It defines student, okay, or it modifies student. All right, and then the main sentence is the student cried. All right, so let's analyze. Student is the subject, cried is the verb. Okay, that's the first sentence or the main sentence. And then in the subordinate clause, let's check. Teacher is the verb, called is, teacher is the subject, I'm sorry, and called is the verb. Okay, so whom in here is the relative pronoun, and then whom the teacher called is the subordinate clause or the defining clause or the adjective clause referring back to student or modifying student. Okay, whom is used to join the two sentences, the teacher called and the student cried, right? So that's the relative pronoun whom. Let's go to the relative pronoun whomever. Okay, let's read the sentence. You can choose one driver, whomever you like, to bring you to the park. Again, you can choose one driver, whomever you like, to bring you to the park. Okay? Okay, so whomever is here, right? And the subordinate clause is whomever you like. Okay? Separated by commas. All right, so whomever is the relative pronoun. Okay, so it is used to define or modify driver. All right, so it is the noun before the relative pronoun. Okay, so the main sentence is you can choose one driver to bring you to the park. Okay, so let's analyze. You is the subject, okay. Can choose is the verb, all right, can choose. And then let's go to the subordinate clause. You is the subject and like is the verb. Okay, so whomever here is the relative pronoun used to define or modify driver, and whomever you like is the subordinate clause, okay, used to define driver, just the same. Okay, it's just a clause. All right, and it is used to join the two sentences, which are you like and you can choose one driver to bring you to the park. Okay, so that's the relative pronoun whomever. All right, now let's go to the relative pronoun whose. Okay, let's read the sentence. The lady whose bag had been snatched shouted loudly. Again, the lady whose bag had been snatched shouted loudly. Okay, so whose is here, and the subordinate clause is whose bag had been snatched, okay, separated by commas, and whose is the relative pronoun referring back to lady or defining lady. Okay, lady is a noun. All right, so the main sentence is the lady shouted loudly. Okay, so let's analyze. Lady here is the subject and shouted is the verb. Okay, that's the main sentence. And in the subordinate clause, the subject is bag, okay, and the verb is had been snatched. Okay, so that's the verb. Okay, so whose is the relative pronoun in here. It is used for this subordinate clause, whose bag had been snatched, and this subordinate clause is used to modify or define lady, and it is used to join the two sentences, which are bag had been snatched and the lady shouted loudly. Okay, so that's the relative pronoun whose. Now let's try the relative pronoun when. Okay, let's read the sentence. The room, when it was finally cleaned, was very cozy and inviting. Again, the room, when it was finally cleaned, was very cozy and inviting. Okay, when is here and its subordinate clause is when it was finally cleaned. Okay, separated by commas over there. And so that is the clause. All right, the main sentence is the room was very cozy and inviting. Okay, so the room, or room is the subject and was is the verb. Okay, and the subordinate clause, when it was finally cleaned. Okay, when is the relative pronoun, right? Refers to room. Okay, so this subordinate clause, when it was finally cleaned, okay, modifies room or defines room. Room is a noun. It is the subject of the main sentence. Okay, so let's analyze this. It is the subject and was cleaned is the verb. All right, so the relative pronoun when and the subordinate clause when it was finally cleaned modifies room, okay, which is a noun, and it is the subject of the main sentence, which is the room was very cozy and inviting. So when is used to join two sentences, which are it was finally cleaned and the room was very cozy and inviting. Okay, now let's try the relative pronoun where. Okay, let's read the sentence. The mall where we used to stroll around is now closed. Again, the mall where we used to stroll around is now closed. Okay, so where is here? Okay, and the subordinate clause is where we used to stroll around, separated by commas. Where is the relative pronoun? Okay, it refers back to mall or defines mall or it modifies mall. Okay, so this where we used to stroll around, it is an adjective clause and it defines mall, which is a noun. Okay, and the main sentence is the mall is now closed. Okay, so let's analyze. Mall is the subject, is closed is the verb. All right, again, mall is the subject, is closed is the verb. Okay, and in the subordinate clause, we is the subject and used, okay, is the verb. All right, so where in here is the relative pronoun, and the subordinate clause where we used to stroll around is used to define mall or modify mall, which is a noun. Okay, and it is the subject of the main sentence. The mall is now closed. Okay, and where is used to join the two sentences, which are we used to stroll around and the mall is now closed. Okay, so that's the relative pronoun where. The relative pronoun what, okay, we use it rarely. Okay, very rare. So we are done with the relative pronouns. Thank you so much for watching and we hope that you keep learning with us. Again, please don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Stick around for the next video and bye for now.